That's it, the final face-off. Verhoeven versus Usyk for the heavyweight championship of the world tomorrow night. Live, the Geezer in glory, ladies and gentlemen.
The fight is happening in the ring tomorrow evening here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
Just going through the motion, he's serious about it, you know, so I liked it.
Yeah, like his energy was like very calming throughout the week.
Yes, it was.
Usyk all week, but that face-off went on for a while again. Is this though when you start to lock in and the wheels start to turn ahead of tomorrow night?
No, but I'll always respect my opponent in whatever case. So, and also with this, just we lock in, and I guess this is what we're doing. So, and I'm for no point, whatever, we're gonna let it slip away. So we're gonna stay there. If we're gonna stay there until tomorrow, I'm here.
We push you for a final prediction. Rico, how do you shock the boxing world tomorrow? Main emotions and feelings you're experiencing right now?
I think the main emotion is finally we're here.
Just shoved it in his chest. The point's still there, but you're not crossing that line, and that'd have been
Boxing pros react strongly after Rico Verhoeven's shove on Oleksandr Usyk during the heated weigh-in face-off as Eddie Hearn raises real concerns about Rico's mental state heading into this clash. While he acknowledges Rico's danger and physical tools, he clearly senses emotional instability. Against someone like Usyk, that is a major problem because Usyk thrives when opponents are mentally unbalanced and under pressure inside the biggest moments.
But he's going to be dangerous. Like all the attributes that he has, they still exist, regardless of his mental state. But I see a kid in pain, you know? I've got to be honest with you, like, I don't see how people around him can be looking at his behaviour and being comfortable with it. And I don't think they are.
Johnny Nelson highlights how far mind games can go in boxing build-ups and how certain lines can completely shift the emotional balance between fighters. In this situation around Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven, tensions have already crossed into physical and verbal territory. That is dangerous because Usyk normally stays calm and unaffected, while Rico is starting to show emotional reactions which could cost him control once the fight begins.
He may apologise and say, look, I went too far, I shouldn't have said that. But he needed to get a response from Anthony Joshua and get him into a certain mindset.
Adam Smith makes it clear that controversy is part of the fight business, and moments like the shove between Rico Verhoeven and Oleksandr Usyk only increase global attention. But underneath the promotion, this also shows how quickly emotions are escalating. Usyk benefits when chaos surrounds the build-up because inside the ring he turns chaos into structure and control.
This is the fight business, and it's just made it even bigger, and we wait to see what happens next. And I'm a storyteller, and I love the...
Oleksandr Usyk stays completely grounded and focused even after the intense face-off, showing no signs of emotional disruption. He respects Rico Verhoeven's kickboxing pedigree but quickly shifts focus back to discipline and preparation. That mindset is exactly why Usyk dominates elite-level opponents, because he does not get distracted by hype or pressure. Against a transition fighter like Rico, that calm concentration becomes a massive competitive advantage.
Just going through the motion, he's serious about it, you know, so I liked it.
Yeah, like his energy was like very calming throughout the week.
Yes, it was.
Wade Plemines calls this a pure entertainment crossover fight but still expects Oleksandr Usyk to dominate Rico Verhoeven comfortably. The comparison to Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury shows that surprises are possible, but Usyk is a far more refined and technical operator. Rico brings unpredictability and power, but Usyk brings control, precision and world-level boxing IQ, which is a different level of challenge entirely.
Verhoeven in his second boxing match ever. Who wins and why? I think Usyk because he's far better, but I don't have those answers, so...
Simon Jordan breaks down the deeper business motivation behind this crossover clash between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven, suggesting it is not just about sport but also about legacy and global attention. Usyk is already an undisputed champion, so his decisions now are about building something beyond traditional boxing achievements. However, this kind of fight still carries real danger because Rico is not a normal opponent. He brings elite athletic ability from kickboxing, which means unpredictable timing and explosive attacks. That is exactly the type of challenge that can create drama if Usyk is even slightly unfocused.
Little space, and I can see how the monetization vehicle of this works. But Usyk wouldn't be doing this unless there's a reason for it. There must be a motivation behind it. It must be some form of derivative as to what happened between the various disciplines crossing over with Ngannou and...
Peter Fury confirms that both Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven willingly accepted this challenge, showing confidence from both camps. Usyk has a history of taking high-risk fights against top opposition, while Rico is stepping into a completely different sport at elite level. That alone creates massive curiosity because it is not a normal boxing matchup. Usyk, however, has the clear advantage in experience, having faced and defeated the very best heavyweight boxers in the world, while Rico is still adapting to pure boxing fundamentals under pressure.
With his hands to implement and blend in with his kicks, because I don't know nothing about kickboxing. So obviously, I just worked on the hands and his boxing ability. But he's been around boxing. He's sparred with a lot of top boxers in the world. He's but ultimately for kickboxing.
Spencer Oliver strongly questions the legitimacy of Rico Verhoeven getting a world title opportunity with such limited boxing experience. From a traditional boxing standpoint, this breaks the usual ranking system where fighters earn their way up over many years. But Oleksandr Usyk changes the business side of boxing because his name alone creates massive global demand. Still, inside the ring none of that matters. Usyk's elite-level boxing IQ, timing and experience at championship level make this a completely different environment compared to anything Rico has faced before.
Kid's had one bout as a professional boxer. You go, so, how can he jump the queue and box Oleksandr Usyk for the WBC title? To me, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I think it makes a mockery, again, of the WBC.
Ade Oladipo highlights Rico Verhoeven's legendary status in kickboxing, where he is considered one of the greatest of all time. That reputation adds real intrigue to this crossover fight with Oleksandr Usyk. However, boxing is a completely different sport that demands refined defensive skills, footwork, and long-term ring experience. Usyk has spent his entire career mastering these exact areas at world championship level. Rico may bring physical strength and aggression, but Usyk brings precision, control, and the ability to solve styles, which is why most analysts still favor him heavily in this matchup.
Oleksandr Usyk steps in and will take on one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. I'm actually quite a big kickboxing fan, so I know quite a lot about him. I've watched a few of his fights over the years. They used to call him the Prince of Kickboxing, and then he elevated to the King of Kickboxing. I mean, he's a very, very, very good kickboxer who's got decent hands. I can't lie to you. It's funny, yeah?
Oleksandr Usyk once again completely downplays the pressure of this massive crossover fight, showing the same calm mindset he has carried throughout his career. For him, this is just another boxing assignment, not a historical event or media spectacle. That mentality is what makes him so dangerous, because he removes emotion from situations where most fighters would feel overwhelmed. Against Rico Verhoeven, that becomes even more important because Rico is entering a completely new boxing environment with huge expectations and attention. Usyk's ability to stay mentally flat and focused allows him to execute his game plan without distraction. While others talk about legacy and pressure, Usyk only talks about preparation and performance. That is the difference between a champion and a challenger at this level, and it is exactly why he has dominated every elite opponent he has faced so far.
But he's going to be dangerous. Like, all the attributes that he has, they still exist, regardless of his mental state. But I see a kid in pain, I've got to be honest with you, I don't see how people around him can be looking at his behaviour and being comfortable with it, and I don't think they are.
Fabio Wardley voices what many in the boxing world are thinking about this matchup, questioning whether Rico Verhoeven has truly earned such a high-level opportunity in boxing. From a pure sporting perspective, it looks unusual because Rico is stepping in with very limited boxing experience against someone like Oleksandr Usyk, who is a fully developed elite heavyweight champion. That gap in experience is massive at world level. Usyk has spent years solving top-tier boxing puzzles while Rico is still transitioning from kickboxing fundamentals into pure boxing rhythm. Wardley's comments reflect the traditional boxing mindset where rankings and experience matter, and in that sense this fight looks heavily one-sided on paper. However, Usyk has built his career on proving people wrong when they underestimate technical mastery over reputation.
I understand that he's kind of earned the right to do what you want, but I at least expected it to be some sort of active boxer someone of some. Not to say I don't actually know much about Verhoeven in terms of a kickboxer, of what his quality level is, but what I'm saying is I expected it to be someone of a decent caliber of a professional boxer. But if it's not, then fine. Look, do your thing, do you, and hopefully he returns to actual professional boxing against some of the top elites.
Johnny Nelson breaks down the business reality behind Oleksandr Usyk's career at this stage, explaining that after dominating the heavyweight division, the biggest motivation now includes legacy expansion and financial opportunity. That is where fights like Rico Verhoeven come into play because they generate global attention beyond traditional boxing audiences. However, while business drives the event, the risk remains very real inside the ring. Rico is not a standard opponent and brings elite athletic ability from kickboxing, which can create unpredictable moments. Usyk's challenge is to stay disciplined and not get drawn into excitement or unfamiliar rhythm. Historically, Usyk has shown he can adapt to any style, which is why even in a business-driven fight like this, he still enters as the clear technical favorite with superior boxing IQ and championship experience.
You've got to look at Oleksandr, what he's done. He's wiped the floor with everybody. He's established himself at the top there. So now you look at him and you'll think financially, will he be in a better position than Tyson Fury? No, not in my opinion. Anthony Joshua? No, not in my opinion. The big money fights aren't out there for him, so he's got to do something. He's got to put himself in a position where he's got to win, because he's proved he's top draw. So in this fight here, I think it creates interest, intrigue. I'm quite sure there's a healthy pay packet at the end of it. This is now business for him.
This crossover clash between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven is building into one of the most intriguing fights in modern combat sports. On one side you have Usyk, a proven undisputed champion who has already conquered the heavyweight division with elite skill, timing and boxing intelligence. On the other side you have Rico Verhoeven, a legendary kickboxer stepping into a completely different world where every mistake gets punished instantly. The stakes are massive because this is not just about winning a fight, it is about legacy and perception. If Usyk wins, it further confirms his status as one of the most complete fighters in boxing history, a man who can adapt to any challenge and solve any style thrown at him. But if Rico Verhoeven pulls off the shock, it would instantly become one of the biggest upsets in combat sports history and completely change how crossover fights are viewed forever. Mentally, Usyk looks calm, controlled and untouched by pressure, while Rico brings confidence, aggression and belief from a different discipline. That contrast is what makes this fight so dangerous and unpredictable. Once the bell rings, reputation means nothing and only skill under pressure decides everything. The question now is simple: will Usyk's experience and ring IQ dominate as expected, or are we about to witness a historic shock that nobody saw coming? Drop your prediction in the comments, like the video if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe for more boxing analysis and updates.